When you're designing a character that's going to have kid appeal and ideally translate into toys and consumer products, there's a lot of very specific direction that you're encouraged to take. And there's no shortage of YouTube videos pointing this out and analyzing character design from every aspect, including angles and how big the eyes should be and what type of accessories and what colors to use. And these are all very, very valid and extremely important. But one of the elements that I don't see covered a lot on YouTube, and that's actually a big reason why I started this channel, was kind of to fill in the gap with things that I can't otherwise find about the toy and the kid and collector industry, is one of the important aspects of designing a character and how that is going to translate over to kids' activities. And let me explain that. Because as I mentioned, there is no lack of YouTube videos talking about character design as well as, how to draw a character, tips from being someone who goes from doodling with purpose to being a master artist. And there's clearly certain characters that have stood the test of time. And part of that is because of color choice, because of how the costumes are designed. They just work so well for things like animation, live action, and action figures, which I very much feel action figures are a content medium, no different from movies or cartoons. And there have been times that people have been invited to design action figures that would potentially be part of the line. Mattel ran a Create a Character contest in the 80s for Masters of the Universe and even supplied parts. And one of the rules that comes up a lot with character design, and this is especially with animation, is what's called the silhouette rule. What this means is for a character to work for a child, it needs to be recognized from their silhouette alone, meaning you remove all color, you remove all scribe lines, and you just present a black image of that character on a white background. And being able to recognize who that character is one of the most important things for children, because the way they perceive the world is in a very simplistic way. It's a very big, scary world, and they need to be able to recognize things very quickly. So making a character that has instant recognition for a child when you're dealing with the shape of the character only is incredibly important. And it's gotten to the point that companies even test this. They'll, put up images and ask kids, can you tell me who this animated character is? And, it's why the Simpsons have the hair that they have. It makes them recognizable. So that's one aspect, and it's covered a little bit online. But what I want to talk about, what's more important and what's almost never talked about, is the drawing aspect. And I don't mean us as animators or cartoonists or toy makers drawing. I'm talking about children drawing. Drawing for children is an extremely expressive activity. As I said, they're young, they're limited in the ways that they can express the world, and being able to paint, crayon, marker, whatever the medium, but to express themselves through drawing is so empowering to children because they can create anything they see in their mind. And that is why it's so important in character design to take this activity in mind. So let's look at a good example, King Kong. All right, drawing King Kong has been done for decades, but Jordan Vogt-Roberts, who directed Skull Island, I love that he mentioned this in an interview. I think it's one of the most brilliant things. He mentioned that when he was doing this King Kong movie, Skull Island, one of the most important things to him was making sure that Kong was simplistic enough that children could draw him. This is because he understood that for a child to be able to draw a character, it creates ownership, especially a character that is a large, giant, threatening monkey, gorilla, simian, etc., whatever you're going to call him, great ape, I think that's what he is, right? So that is why he wanted to make sure Kong would translate easily for children to draw, because when children draw a character, they feel ownership over that character, and it becomes less threatening. It becomes something that they now can control. And that is why some of the most popular characters of all time are also some of the easiest characters to draw of all time. In fact, if you look at some of the more popular superheroes, you'll find that while Spider-Man might have, complicated web patterns, It's very easy between the red and the blue and the eyes on the mask for a child to translate Spider-Man onto paper. Same thing with Batman. You don't exactly have to get the bat symbol, there we go, I can speak today, 100%, but this is clearly recognized as Batman by an adult, right? Looking at that, you can see that Jack drew Batman. Versus if you look at a more complicated character, like take Spawn from Image Comics, Todd McFarlane. Big fan of Spawn growing up in the 90s, and he's more complicated. He's a lot of fun to draw as an adult, to do all the spikes and the capes and the chains and, all of that kind of stuff. And, Todd McFarlane, obviously, his thing is drawing detail, and that's one of the things that makes him such a cool artist, and I'm a big fan of his artwork. But when you're trying to sort of, I don't want to call it dumb down Spawn, but at least simplify him for kids, it's not necessarily easy to do. Usually you have to drop elements. And while kids might be able to get a grip on the mask, which is sort of an eye within an eye on black, the outfit isn't as intuitive even as Spider-Man because of the way sort of the V-line, the way that the chest colors work, as well as the arms and legs. And usually when a child draws Spawn, it's going to be extremely simplified, and you're going to lose certain elements. So, now, granted, Spawn wasn't created for kids, he was created for an older audience. And let's look at another example, the Navi from Avatar. I've made videos in the past about why Avatar was not a breakthrough toy property. And part of that was because the movie was not as toyetic. The heroes were basically aliens living in trees, as opposed to the military characters were bad guys, which are more aspirational for kids. But another element of Avatar is the characters, the Navi, are not that easy to draw. I mean, they're kind of like cat people, in a way, but their proportions are off from the way kids see the world. They have very elongated bodies, long arms, long legs, and this makes it more difficult for a child to draw because Spider-Man and Batman have normal human proportions, and you just have to put them in their outfit, put on their eyes or their mask, their cowl, give them a cape. Being able to draw your toys and being able to draw aspirational characters is incredibly empowering to children. And when you're designing characters for a kid audience, which is the bulk of toys, and, et cetera, it's very important to think about this and to plan this from day one. You want your characters to be simplistic in nature so that if a child wants to draw their toy, which toys become a huge favorite subject of children to translate into art, it should be enjoyable for them. It shouldn't be a struggle, because the moment it becomes a struggle for them to capture a character on paper and to feel ownership of that character because I drew that, I made that, well, it becomes frustrating. And you don't want toys to be a source of frustration. You want toys and characters and cartoons and comic books to be a sense of enjoyment for children. So this is very important to think about when you are at the ground level of a property. So definitely it's something I love to connect with clients about. At SpectorCreative.com, we are really big into the emotional connection between consumer and product, especially child and product. My partner is a child play therapist. She has a master's degree from NYU in child play therapy. So if you are designing new characters and new IP, give us a holler over at SpectorCreative.com. We'd love to help you with character design and all aspects to make sure your property is ready for consumer products and kids. Thanks for watching.